Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to my podcast, Rewire to Inspire. I am your host, Jessie Brown, and I am thrilled to be jumping on the microphone with you all for episode number 193. If you missed my last episode, number 192, we chatted about two words that adding into your vocabulary and into your internal dialogue really could begin to transform your life. And the intentionality and the power that comes behind the words that we choose to say on a conscious level. And so if you haven't checked out that episode, I definitely encourage you to. For today's episode, we are going to be talking about 5 things to remember on harder days. It has taken me a little bit of capacity to be able to do this episode because I've been in those harder days lately. And I knew that I wanted to come on here and share some of the things with you guys that I repeat to myself and I tell myself on those harder days. Because if you're human, you have experienced a hard day before in your life. You've experienced days where it feels like a tomorrow could never exist and a good day could never exist again. And the reason for that is because when we're in those active states of having a hard time, it's almost like we get tunnel vision, and all we can focus on is the negative, is what it is that we're struggling with. When we're in that negative headspace, it's easier to see other things as negative. We start to catastrophize, and it's like we put on, like I said, like this tunnel vision pair of glasses that all we can hyper focus on is the fact that we're having a bad day. And it's easy for that to turn into a tsunami of events that often makes it worse. And so as we go through this episode, I want to preface the importance of it's okay, and in fact, it's necessary to have hard days. It's important to validate how we feel on the both good and bad days, because both of them are trying to communicate some kind of message to us. But I do think that on our better days, it's important to be proactive and to find ways to prepare yourself when you're having a lower, harder, challenging day. Because when we get into that tunnel vision state, it's harder to think rationally. Because often when we're in that state and we're overwhelmed and our thinking brain's not online, it's hard to think of ways to calm yourself down. All you're thinking is all the things that could go wrong, everything that is going wrong. Right? It's almost like we have this cloud that hangs above us. And that's how I've felt often. I say the last couple of days, this is just the reality a lot. I don't know about you listening, but I know when I have a hard day, it really bogs me down and it really takes over my heart and my mind and my mood and my consciousness. And I know that a lot of that is because of past trauma that gets triggered, that then I have to ride the wave of coming out of that. But it can be really frustrating on those days. And so I wanted to come up with some reminders and things to remember on those harder days that can just give you hope. It doesn't fix the issue. It doesn't erase how you're feeling. It doesn't snap you out of it. But it just gives you permission to know that brighter days are ahead, to know that you will get out of it. And January is statistically a very challenging month for a lot of people. And so I really do just want to preface, and I can't iterate enough, the importance of seeking mental health support. If you have been struggling more than usual lately, or just you're needing someone to talk to, I want to empower you to do that. I know that it can be hard to take that first step. I know that it can seem overwhelming and almost like, well, what's the point? No one's going to understand what I'm going through. Simply the act of talking things out can be healing in and of itself. Last night, my partner and I were having a conversation, and I just word vomited all these things from my past, and I just kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest, and one thing led to another, and I was kind of in a dissociative state when this was happening, because I was very much kind of back there in my consciousness, and so I just let all these things come out, and I felt better after. Not because he could take away my pain from the past, could go back and fix it, but sometimes just getting it off our chest with someone who is in conscious state and is able to listen with empathy and with love and with care. So I just really want to preface the importance of seeking support if you're needing it, because you're worthy of it, and that's why it exists. And it's okay if you're struggling a little bit more. It's okay if the days have felt harder. And I do know for me, one thing that was empowering that I keep telling myself is in another month, it's going to be brighter out, closer to 7 p.m., which is just like very exciting, because I know that I need sunlight, or I know that sunlight manipulates my mood. And then the winters, I definitely struggle more. And so I just wanted to throw that in there because I care about each and every one of you listening so deeply and so sincerely. And I know that it can be scary to make that first step, but you got this. You got this, and I'm cheering for you. Today's episode, like I said, surfaced because on those hard days, I sit with myself and I'm like, what do I need to remind myself of? Yes, I'm struggling right now, but what does Jessie need to hear that will help you get through this? And there's not always an easy cookie cutter answer. Some days it's different. Some experiences it's different, depending what caused it, what triggered it, what's going on externally, etc., etc. But these were things that I really landed on. And I had decided to film a video of myself when I was in a really good mood one day, to a version of me, if I'm ever triggered, overwhelmed, whatever, talking to that version of me. So I'm hearing this advice from myself. Because sometimes hearing that advice from other people when you're in a toxic headspace or a low headspace can just seem like a pile of bullshit, to be honest. And like your brain's like, I don't believe you, like it's not going to get better. But there's something about it coming from yourself that you're like, I can't be mad at me. Like I'm literally talking to myself. And so I had recorded this video talking to myself if I'm ever in a triggered state. And the other day when I was having a really, really hard night, I watched that video. And what I prefaced in the video is what I'm going to share with you guys today, which is 5 things to remember in those moments. And so the first thing that I kind of told myself in that video that I want to share with you guys is a bad day doesn't make a bad life. And all of these are very like surface level common things people say, but it's important we believe them and we remember them with our heart. Don't let our mind take over and be like, yeah, well, duh, obviously. But if you actually truly hear that message, a bad day doesn't make it a bad life. But think about it. The last time that you were in a toxic headspace, all you can think about is that moment. You hyper focus on that moment. You get fixated in that moment. You get that tunnel vision and you paint this picture of, well, my life sucks and work sucks and family sucks and money sucks. And we get in like these like roller coaster of emotions that surface. And I think by being able to just like halt and pause and take a second to be like, just because I'm having a bad day doesn't mean I'm having a bad life. And I think that when we get into those moments, as always, it's important to lean into curiosity. Because if you're struggling with something, I do think it's important, if not in the moment after, to reflect and ask yourself why. What caused that? What triggered me? What was it that led me to having a mood shift? Did I wake up like this? Did something happen? Is my stress? Am I too stressed? Do I have too much going on? Am I investing too much in myself and not giving myself enough self-love? Is my past trauma coming out in all these ways and I'm not validating that for myself? There's so many indicators, and I think that by saying a bad day doesn't make it a bad life, it's important to bring awareness to what is it that you're categorizing as bad for your life? What is it that you have toxicity around, negativity around? Because there's likely a message in that. There's likely something that your body is communicating to you. If you are having resistance to something, you're having any type of negative energy towards something, there's a reason for that. When you have a quote unquote bad day, there's often always a reason for it. Like I said, your cup is empty. Maybe you haven't eaten. Maybe you're kind of lonely. Maybe you need some time away. Maybe you need more time, more discipline. Maybe you're letting yourself down. There's a multitude of reasons. But the more we just focus on this is a bad day and I'm just going to let it like continue to catastrophize and get worse and worse, find a way to just stop and be like, this bad day does not make my life bad. This makes me human. It is okay to have bad days. In fact, we need them. But it is how we respond on bad days that are going to dictate, okay, is this going to roll into tomorrow? Is this going to now affect other people? Am I transferring this onto others around me, curious minds on bad days allow us to get out of our head. Because I know for me, that's what makes it worse, is when I spend all my time in my noggin going back and forth. It almost always makes it worse. Pen to paper, leaning into curiosity, reminding yourself a bad day does not make it a bad life. Number 2, a thing to remember on hard days. Great things take time. Great things take time. I wrote down, learn from any emotion you're feeling. So, for example, I wrote this one down because there's often times when I'm having a hard day. The reason for that is because I don't have the results that I desire or that I feel I've worked towards. So this could be for you, maybe around money, maybe around your habits, maybe around a goal, business, your weight, whatever. It's easy to get into a negative headspace and to start to have a hard day when we feel like we're not achieving what we feel we should have achieved by now. Or we're having frustration with self. Like weight is a huge one where this happens, where let's say you weigh yourself and you're not at your target goal yet. That can really, really hurt your self-esteem and hurt your day and allow you to catastrophize and to just struggle. But I think reminding yourself that great things take time and to keep going, it just gives you permission to validate what you've done, to shift maybe what you're not doing, and to gain awareness. I know for me this happens a lot with like numbers. If I'm not reaching a certain milestone, a certain achievement, I start to shut down. And I have to remind myself, it's okay. The compound effect is going to pay off. Continue to grow by 1%. Continue to show up. Because when you stop showing up, that's when this gets a lot worse. And so that's a reminder that I think is maybe overlooked a lot of the times, because we want things and we want them now. But when we can remind ourselves when we're feeling frustration, maybe you have a dream house that you want, there's a family you want marriage, you want a degree, you want all these things. Remind yourself that those things take time. What is a necessary step, maybe a 1% thing that you can do today that might get you a little bit closer, that would actually make you feel better. And so a lot of this is about stopping and just taking conscious effort to remind yourself. That's why I say it's important to do these things on days where you're feeling good, because on days when you're struggling, it's nearly impossible to just think of these questions for yourself. And so I hope you find benefit in that each and every day, that great things take time and to just keep going. Number 3, how others act is out of your control. Oh my Lord. I wish I didn't struggle with this one as much as I do. I'm definitely working on this one. As someone who definitely has very low self-worth, I don't even want to say that in that sentence because it makes it so true. As someone who has struggled with self-worth and is working on it, I'm very good at allowing other people's moods to manipulate how I'm feeling. I could be having a great day, and then someone says something negative, does something negative, or just does something that hurts me, whatever. I'm exposed to something negative, and it just shuts me down. It's so important in those moments to not allow others to take your energy. Again, easier said than done. And all of us have a different relationship with this. But I'm very good at giving of my energy and sucking down to where other people are at. I'm very, very strong empath, and I definitely feed off of others' energy, both good and bad. So it is very much something I love about myself, but I'm also aware that I really get pulled down when someone has negative energy. And so reminding myself on certain days that I'm struggling, or maybe around people that I can't control that are negative, reminding myself that that is not in my control. That has nothing to do with me and everything to do with them. And knowing that how others act is out of your control, but how you respond to that is in your control. And so again, this is one that I really struggle with, and I know a lot of folks struggle with, because it's so easy to get sucked in and bothered, especially when you care about people, into that energy. But if you're having a hard day, ask yourself, is this of a result of somebody else's behavior that is out of my control? And if the answer is yes, is it worth it? Is it worth your precious energy and heart and mind space to be giving a part of who you are for the energy of this person? And so that is number 3. How others act is out of your control. Number 4, I love this one. This one's been my most empowering thought that I've been saying lately, which is some of your best days and people that you've never met haven't happened yet. Some of your best days have not happened yet. In fact, probably most of your best days have not happened yet, which is so empowering. And some of the best people you're going to meet, you haven't met yet. I just think that that's such an optimistic, exciting thought to have, because it's so easy to view our life from where we are backwards, because we can see it, we've experienced it. We don't know looking forward. But how empowering that is that to say to yourself, I haven't experienced some of my greatest days yet. Imagine we woke up in the morning and we're like, what if today is like the best day ever? Just imagine how that would feel. You would be so much more optimistic to like look for the good in the run of your day. This has been a sentence that has been on my mind a lot this last month, is like, I have not met the people yet that are gonna mean the most to my heart. Doesn't mean I don't know amazing people. I haven't met amazing people. But it's so empowering and just like such a powerful reminder to say, hey, some of your best days have yet to come. Some of the best people you've yet to meet. And I just think even saying it makes me so excited and optimistic, because you never know what one conversation could do, what one experience could do, what one decision could do. And on your harder days, when you tell yourself that, it allows you to just, again, stop that thinking and to focus your consciousness forward. It's so easy in those moments to focus backwards, and because, again, you have that evidence. Your brain has something to pull from. When we're pulling from the future, it's a lot of what ifs. It's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknown. And so it's a lot harder to connect the dots. I say it all the time. Steve Jobs' quote, it's easier to connect the dots looking backwards than it is forward, because we have awareness. Just tell yourself that one morning when you wake up, like, what if today's like the best day of my life? And imagine waking up with that mentality every single day, and just how differently you would show up if you were just, it's like Christmas. Think how excited you get on Christmas, where you're like, it's Christmas, it's exciting, there's food, there's family, there's maybe presents, there's excitingness, and you're just like giving yourself all this evidence and truth. What if we woke up every single day exactly like that, but in the realm energetically of, what if I meet someone amazing today? What if something amazing happens to me today? And I just think I'm definitely not perfect with this, but even saying it in this moment, I'm like, I want to start doing that. I think that that would be so fun and just very permission giving and kind of an exciting way to start your day and to start your week. Okay, last but not least, number 5. It's okay to take a step back and to focus on you. This is something that I have to remind myself of constantly, but I'm someone that I get to the point of burnout and then I like push it. I know when I'm at burnout, and I know when my body's like, Jessie, stop, like, hit the brakes, take time for you. And I like to just like ride the wave a little bit, where I'm like, let's see how far we can push this until I get sick, I collapse, I burn out, I have a panic attack, I'm overwhelmed, etc., blah, blah, blah. How many of us are guilty of that? And so on those days where I'm just like, I'm so freaking overwhelmed and I'm exhausted and I'm stressed and I don't know what to do, I'm like, it is okay to take a step back and to focus on you. As someone who preaches self-love every single day, and to be mindful of how you're investing your time and energy and to pour that back into you, I know that I am nowhere near perfect with this, which I think is why I'm so passionate about talking about it. But I do feel cowardly sometimes, because it's like, I'm not practicing what I preach. In those moments, it's a reminder, and I know that I have a lot of resistance with this one. Even when I tell myself in those moments, it's okay to take a step back. I think sometimes even just having that reminder is helpful. It doesn't always mean that we buy it, or that it fixes everything, or it makes everything go away. But it's sometimes just having a different perspective, that like, hey, it is okay if you take a step back. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You're deserving of that. And so with all of these, some of them might land better than others depending what you're struggling with. I know for me, these are the most important reminders, when I'm burnt out and overwhelmed, because I forget. I'm so busy at like blocking out my consciousness of focusing on everything else, that then when it comes time to come back to me, when I'm burnt out and overwhelmed, I'm like, I'm not even connected to myself. So these are important reminders that I need to tell myself to give myself that perspective of, oh, and so slowing down and even giving yourself these reminders, maybe on good days. I think that it's equally as vital and important that we give ourselves these reminders proactively. We don't need to wait until we're completely overwhelmed to remind ourselves of all of these things. And so I hope that you take even one of them and allow it to just sit in. I know that I'm going to take some of your best days and best people have yet to happen and come into your life, because it just made me really excited to read. And so I hope that you take even one of these and you run with it and you see how it feels. Maybe for you it is great things take time. Maybe it is a bad day doesn't make a bad life. Maybe it is how others act is out of your control. Or maybe it is it's okay to take a step back and focus on you. I hope at least one of these landed and resonated for you. And I hope you know how deserving you are to have these reminders and to know that each one of them is so true and you're deserving for all of them to be true. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Happiest of Tuesday. Today's episode comes out on Tuesday. I hope your January, your new year, 2024. I know the last couple days I've been journaling. It's always like that scratch out of the year for the first month, because it's like, oh wait, yeah, it's not 2023 anymore. But I just hope you're all doing well and that you find capacity to look after yourself and know that it's not about being perfect. As someone who preaches self-love and mental health and all these things, I have so far to go. Every journey and aspect of my life is like a new mountain that I have to climb. And just when I get to the summit, it's like, okay, let's climb back down and let's climb the next mountain. That is what life is all about, but it's learning to ride the wave of that. It's okay to ride the wave. It's gonna come in phases. But knowing that we are deserving in those moments to have reminders that can get us through those hard times, because that's really what it is. It's just giving you permission to keep putting one foot in front of the other. If it feels heavy, take a seat for a second, take a moment, and then start again. That doesn't make you less than, that just makes you human. And if you are able to do that, in my eyes, you are one heck of a human, and I am so stinking proud of you. So thank you guys so much for tuning into episode 193. If you enjoyed today's episode, as always, it would mean the world to me if you could share this with somebody you think would enjoy. Somebody who's passionate about mental health, self-improvement, growth, self-love, all those things. I'm really looking to grow this community and to get to know each and every one of you that tunes in a little bit more, because I want to hear from you, because I think a lot. That's something I really want to get rid of out of my vocabulary. I know that I want to get to know each and every one of you more. What it is that makes you tick, what it is you want to learn more of, because that helps me grow more as a podcaster and as a speaker, and also helps me to create aligned content that resonates with each and every one of you. So if you could leave a comment below, send me a message, whatever it is, I would love to connect, and I'm wishing you the most incredible week ever. All the love, you guys. Till next time.